Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. And can you believe it? Here we are again for day trading with you live without a net. And if your name is Annette, you are welcome to join as well. Live without a net means that we are not using a stop loss and we are trying to just get 100% all the time. Sometimes so far so good for the most part. Here we are coming around again with IOST. Can you believe it? Yes or no? Check one or the other. I sort of can and sort of can't. So we were seeing it suffer in those 190s, and it's made it all the way back up to 204. So you can see that a lot of people are weighing in now. So this is kind of becoming a big deal. We were watching it at like 115 Bitcoin 24-hour volume, which is why I was kind of not expecting it to, go racing to its next position. But now I'm kind of seeing a little bit more of a confident move there. So pretty exciting. Kind of cool. So taking a look at Raven and taking a look at Phoenix, all of them are doing interesting things right now. I actually missed my 2-point spread that I was going to clear on Phoenix getting the live stream set up. I knew that things were interesting enough to at least look at, if nothing else. That it was worth going ahead and getting a live stream going. I know, I like to kind of live by a pretty strict schedule to get everything in life, and right now just in the launch that is humanly possible. But as we kind of know, this is a 24-hour cycle. I'm glad that it's a 24-hour cycle, but it also means that we don't know exactly when the best opportunities are going to be. So as always, when I'm watching this kind of stuff, if I'm already watching a position, I'm, partially willing to continue going in on it more than once if I think that it's the right opportunity. So as I do this, I always come in shallow. I like to test things first, but I'm also watching to see what the order book does. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't be willing to actually go on the position that I've put in. I do so with the intention that I am actually looking to get in on a position. But sometimes the result of that, every single thing does intentionally or unintentionally manipulate the positions that are surrounding. And manipulation is going to be an interesting topic for today as I'm trading. I'm also thinking and talking out loud and getting more and more certain about my feelings about certain predictions about things. And what I've certainly learned from the past and learned more and more is that sometimes when you get that, hair standing up on the back of your neck, but not because you're scared about something, but you feel a sense of urgency. Often you have an instinct about something, and it's best to kind of go out and try to affect change based around what you think it is that's going to happen. I tend to have been spookily, eerily right there, kind of on the cutting edge of right when things seem to happen, for whatever reason that is. And as I've been going through the news and looking at the things we just posted, we talked about Kroger and there being conversation about they're considering Bitcoin as they drop Visa, and looked at the article I just did today. You'll see crypto in the news talking about Bakkt and Microsoft and Starbucks and BCG and the International Exchange, ICE, which is they're the ones that own the New York Stock Exchange. Bakkt, talking about Bitcoin at Starbucks, etc., etc. But Bakkt really is still one of the bigger deals. Winklevoss or no, Bakkt or no. As this stuff comes in, my concern is that we have this classic model of, I'm just going to oversimplify it and just say, oh, our money thing is in trouble. Government, please come help us. Nothing has ever, nothing good has ever really come from that. I have to admire, whether you like him or not, or, regardless of where you're coming from on political stuff, two different things. One, trust but verify. And the other one being, that if you hear the government saying, we're the government, we're here to help. That's very bad news. So we want mass adoption. We want the crypto revolution. I have absolutely no idea if anything will come from it, but I'm using our own new branded hashtag. It is hashtag crypto louder megaphone. And so as I was thinking, I need a bigger megaphone for all this kind of stuff. We need more to be heard wider and louder and quicker and sooner. And so I just think that there's an impact to saying just, crypto louder megaphone. Because I'm just one guy, but I think that I have the ideas that we need to share in together to get the word out on crypto and make it a grassroots effort. It's gotten here through 10 years of people who see the monetary benefits of trying to take it to the next level, and I applaud some of those efforts, but they should know more about how this landscape works, and they should be making larger strides with the amount of money that they have behind them by now. Just going to conferences and talking to other people that already agree with you, that's not going to help a whole lot, is it? Or talking within your own circle about people that disagree with you, and neither of you are really in the larger pool where all those mass adopters need to come from. That's not necessarily where the job's going to get done. So, in our perspective, we want to help you to learn how to get right, dig straight through to the heart of the matter, which is liquidity. Wherever it comes from, however it comes from, that's where mass adoption is going to come from. And it just so happens that right here where we are on the Binance exchange is the smartest, fastest, quickest, most certain sector to get the job done. It absolutely is. There's no question about it. You can join up in 5 minutes. It takes no time. And if you already have Bitcoin, you can move it there, lickety split. If you don't already have Bitcoin, then you have a little bit of journey going through either Coinbase or Gemini, or who knows, one of the other options, depending on what your country you're in. That's kind of yours to figure out, I guess, a little bit. I don't want to, lose too much time trying to cover every single little micro topic, but, we will go into that a little bit. So once you got your crypto, you get it on the exchange, you start trading. Guess what? You're taking a part in the revolution, because you are adding value to any coin that you trade back and forth with if you are providing liquidity. Boom, period, end of story. That's how it works. Okay, it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more to the story. But, we are in the midst of something that is incredibly important. It is incredibly important because it's historical global economics, instant economics for most people in most places around the world. You can trade crypto in China. You can trade crypto in America. You can trade crypto in Europe. You can use fiat and load it up and go. You can use other cryptocurrencies and trade against them. You can load up your Ethereum. You can load up your... there's some of them that don't even have any fees, and you can load up the deposit immediately. There's no fees to on-ramp onto Binance. If you withdraw, there is a small fee. So what you do is you just, if you're working some kind of process, your plan is to earn on the go and take a little bit of the profit for yourself as you go along. Then you just want to wait until you hit like little landmark goals, and you take the profit as it comes. So here we are, doing our thing, and I'm here kind of with the intention of looking at Phoenix, Ravencoin, IOST, and then anything in the top 24-hour change that might be of interest or difference. Wabi is really cool, and there's not a lot of movement that it has to do. The problem that I have is that it seems to only do this in really big spikes, and a lot of them have been more in the 5s, not as much in the 6s. So it's kind of a high, risky place to be all the way back until, even before the Bitcoin Cash hard fork period of time. So there's, what is that, back in July. So I would imagine this kind of coincides. Wow, okay. This would coincide with the 19K Bitcoin thing. All right, then. Yep. So BCPT, another one, have been making some money off of it recently, and we have. Let me see what we have left on the browser. And BCPT. It's fun to say. BCPT, 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 BCPT. I'm actually impressed that it's still up there. Yeah, so we have one more position that we have set at 1444, and set intentionally high because we want to get a good profit from an older position, which, if you look at it in retrospect, is really actually not very high at all. So that actually goes back right to the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. And if it were not for that, it was around 2000. And I would say even if it was, just a little bit of the fear, uncertainty, doubt in here, but the actual economics didn't shift, we could be looking at, 2,500 by now. So a lot of things affected there. A lot of things affected. Big, big, big moves there. Looking at Raven. Everybody loves Raven. Let's see. We have one 799 position on the browser, and we have seen it come pretty close, which is amazing. Like a 747 jet coming through. Yeah. Let's see. I need to reset my Raven in the browser. It's not quite pulling up correctly. And Phoenix is struggling a little bit disappointed in Phoenix, but I'm sure it's trying. It was moving very quickly in the 300s, and we had just a very quick position to move. I wanted to close at 305 and 306. And then a little bit higher than that if I could. But unfortunately, the second that Bitcoin moved too quickly in its volume, I was watching it live as it was happening. I was like, oh, Bitcoin, don't do it right now. I just went in on this. I told my friends, here I am going in on this position. You do this to me. You do this to me. Para la familia, what do you do, huh? What do you do? Okay, so anyway, Phoenix, the issue there is that kind of need it not to struggle for too long, because it very well could come back down here into the 260s, and at that point people are just going to be like, But it had picked up about 50 Bitcoin 24-hour volume just in the past couple of hours. So it was really looking like this was going to be the resurgence. Really looked like, let's get out of the 12-hour thing. Okay, so it was this one, yes. I kind of knew that this one wasn't going to be it. I was excited over there, but I knew that wasn't going to be it, because Bitcoin was still doing its thing. So this was inevitable. I kind of hoped it would stop around 275. It didn't. It went a little bit lower. So we're right here around 285. I was kind of hoping that this would be the one. It's just not getting into the right sync there. So all of this, as it relates to the coin that it is, the big old Bitcoin. So if we look at the patterns that Bitcoin is doing, you can see that it has hit two really good peaks over here. I'm happy to see that it can hit the 3900s, but the more that it tries, the more that's where the volume is coming from. We're going to see it sell down below the 3800 line again. So it just, I would much rather see it be able to do slightly slower, steady up than to get ahead of itself, pull the alts down with it, and then when it goes down, they kind of go down with it again. So, if it goes up too quick, they go down. If it goes down at all, they go down, usually. Sometimes it gets wishy-washy in there, and there's a negative correlation. It's kind of like if you talk about the tsunami waves It's like if you had normal waves and then tsunami waves kind of crashing into each other. They're coming and going at the same time, and the volume kind of bounces off, and it's like, and that's what happens. That was the entire technical model right there. Tsunami, bounce back and forth. Yep, that's how it works. That's the way. Don't like it. So fuel has been pretty interesting, and we have a position also in the browser. So add that to the list. I'm going to get these opened in different windows so it's easy for me to get back and forth. Another thing that I like about the browser is just being able to pop open another window. And as long as your coins aren't all moving as fast as Bitcoin, it's kind of easy to just bounce back and forth from one to the next. So it has done a pretty good climb back up in the 240 range, and we have one position that we are looking to clear at 250. So I'm going to be kind of happy to see that hopefully happen very soon. We have some higher ones that are older positions than fuel, 375, 475. One that goes way back. But considering that it's been, suffering for a while and much lower than where it is right now, you can see, the 190s. That may have been the worst. I don't remember. The fun has been sliced in half at 100 and kind of suffering around there for a while. Yes, it has. So always keeping our eye on Ion. We do have some positions in that. It's just it's not the most urgent because others are kind of coming around first. So IOST made it to 205. Good for you. Might be getting kind of exciting now. And you know what? I'm going to test at 202. I want to see what happens. 1.9 Bitcoin at 202 as opposed to the 5 and the 5 at 203 and 4. But those are trading 6, 5, and 2, and 5 and 7. All the numbers are now bigger on the sell as of the first time in the past 15 minutes. Kind of exciting. So right now, since I already know the coins that I'm kind of trying to watch for right now, it would take something really big from a different coin for me to shift gears. So I'm not worried about getting the scanner involved right now. Just, I have my signals set up to let me know when something's going to happen with certain coins. And we'll go into that in our private group. Just helping where those things help. So we're going for 207 on both accounts. That's what I kind of thought. So, man, this would be a really big deal if it can just do the last 3 there. Just the last 3. This is your time. This is your chance. Okay, I was going to say, where? Okay. It's always a little nerve-wracking when it doesn't show up right away. Okay, 205. 205, folks. So I have got to do some coffee, and I'm doing it intentionally to make myself leave things alone and let this just kind of sit for a second. I will be back. Watch while I am going and doing that. Nothing will literally change. It's just there's this guy that won't be yapping at you the whole time for a second. Hello, hello, hello. So we're back. Coffee's hot. I like seeing this back and forth with 205. It's going to get there. It is going to get there. So let me show you what Bitcoin's effect is there. Part of why it's holding there is because Bitcoin is actually going down. So isn't that weird? So the volume is going up on sells. That means that people are selling off, and that's the volume that is currently transacting through Bitcoin. And I'm going to look at what the effect is on a couple of other coins right now. It is helping fuel go up, so that's really good. It's at 246. We need to hit 250. BCPT is holding sideways, but it looks like it's about to go up a little bit. And Raven went up to 732. It was holding the let's see. Sorry, this thing got stuck a little bit. So yeah, it went down to 709 and then popped up to 734, which I was watching that one. That's okay. It's okay. You can't catch everything. But it's all right. I'm kind of hyper focused on all of this stuff at the same time, so it's good. It's good. It's good. Yep. So I'll show you what Phoenix is doing over here. It's still struggling. That's because, I mean, it really needs people to pick up the volume there. Raven, in fact, Raven coin. Okay, 734. We'd like to see it be able to do another 60 or so, and then it would actually clear out one of our remaining positions. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. We're actually getting around to where it's like only the absolute earliest positions are even there anymore. So Steam, speaking of which, we have some 1200s that we're waiting on. It has not become a hodl yet, but you know, it's certainly in that pivot range where can it do that 1200, 1300 again? So Steam is actually mimicking a little bit of a version of what Bitcoin is doing right now. It tried to go up. This was kind of, Bitcoin had two, you know, the top part of a lip. And this is kind of this sideways version of the same thing. So there we go. So we're looking at we'll see what that does. Very exciting. Very exciting. IOST, that's where we are. DNT, we've got another 100 to go. It's not really doing very well. It'll come around. It's just, it's extremely low volume. In cash, you poor thing. You can do it. I know you can. But, I mean, you know, 24 people, 24 Bitcoin on 44. Wow, look how stacked up it is. Oh, I'm so glad I still had the mute. I had to sneeze again. I apologize. So TNT made it up to 415. Don't have any over here. We've already cleared all of our TNT. Do have some in the browser to go. So I'm going to load that up as well. Keep an eye on that. So yeah, we've already, even on the browser account, we've already cleared out all of our current TNT. We only have super old stuff. So actually, let me look at just what it takes to get to those old positions. So one in the like 570-ish range. would go back to around here. My goodness, would it be around the Bitcoin crash, Bitcoin Cash sector of time? Yes, it would. And then 777, probably just before that. You can see this was a nice hill around here. So in the 770s would take us right around actually, yeah, that's what I did. We were actually in the, all of it was around the Bitcoin Cash range, but I decided to set them up for higher longer, because if it's going to sit for a little bit of time, it's going to make it all the way up to the next sector anyway. So I've analyzed that and have one set to 1222, which would technically take it back to, well, not even that bad, really. Yeah, I mean, looking at it now just tells me why I went that far back. I feel confident enough that if TNT can double, then it will hit another high point there. And it's not just a matter of whether we would take a loss on something, as it is like, if it's going to go that far back, then it might go back another 2 weeks and another 2 weeks. And at that point, you might as well take a bigger profit. So that's how we have that set. I'll actually show you in like a training thing about how to do that. So Bitcoin's going down a little bit harder, and now things are kind of like, scary sinking to it. People are nervous about stuff. So I don't think we went in on there. No, we didn't. Okay. I was willing to at 201. So curious what would happen if. Okay, so it is actually balancing things out fairly quickly. TNT made about a 2-point jump there. Really, 3 is all it takes for it to be a good profit. Steam may be bouncing off of 1080 or 1078. So if we were here, 1083, 10, I mean, we would want to be back around where it started there. The question is, how are things going to respond to Bitcoin now? It's actually still picking up in volume. So it can technically help if it goes slow and steady, but if it doesn't, it's kind of like that concept of, doing 2 things at once. You're not really doing 2 things at once. You're just doing one thing and then the other, back and forth, quick enough to where it feels like it's simultaneous. Kind of the same way with the volume. If it is taking just small amounts, then the give and take is there. The reciprocity is in the marketplace. But if it does it too quick, it's stealing it from another place to place it in its own pocket. Oh, how you do that? Okay, let's get to Raven. Quoth the Raven nevermore. Midnight dreary. Quoth the Raven nevermore. Doesn't have quite the same gothic appeal if you sing it that way, or say it that way. All right, so this may not be the round for IOST again. Oh, and if you have the extra supply to do certain things, we would just be going in on it over and over again, even more so waiting for the next thing to happen. And that's what I would do if I'm a little bit more not live on some of this stuff, trying to get all this programming. Wow, it's a lot of work. It's hard to do, but it's fun. And I imagine the fun part comes when you guys are around and we're interacting. So right now I'm kind of hanging out with imaginary yous out there, which, not that you're not interesting, but I'd much rather hang out with real yous. So I actually did go in on IOST on browser, so let's see where that is now. So we went in at 202. Perfect. So let's just sell for 204. And that would be super great if it can do it this round. In fact, I'll set it at 205 as well. And right now it's still going down. It's now, unfortunately, is when it's in sync with with Bitcoin. So you can see, I mean, this is exactly what Bitcoin is doing right now. Oh, you troublesome thing. All right. So 38.70. So boom, boom, boom. It's kind of stair-stepping, but this is going to be the one that changes. Principal at thirds almost always works. Very reliable. Wish it made it, that ironclad, rock solid that you could always guarantee that it means that you knew when something was going to happen and what that something was. But I'm telling you, it's easy to get tricked up by stuff. It really is. So let's see. Now I'm thinking a little bit in terms of preservation. I've got, even more writing on IOST. I'm happy that that went in. I probably would have second guessed myself on it. And it really is a good time. Everything is weighed heavier towards up here. So I might even think in terms of going in at 201. You know what? The question there is whether it is a better position or whether Phoenix from 275 to 275 to 277 would make more sense, but it's still losing volume, so that concerns me. It might continue going down. As much as I don't want to believe that, it's not going to ask my opinion, so it's going to do what it's going to do. It's almost a safer bet to go up again with Raven than it would be to go towards what should be the next natural section. Oh my gosh, the next natural oscillation with Phoenix. It should be able to do 274 to 277. And I'm really thinking in terms of very short term. We trade short term. Nope. Silly. Stupid stuff. Okay. Speaking of shorts, I do not like shorting positions, meaning that you're betting on things going down. I know that it's not supposed to affect it, is just taking advantage of it, but your liquidity, your volume, we understand that blockchain makes a permanent record of things, right? So, I mean, that permanent record is instantly transmitting whether something is an up or a down. That gives signals to people to be excited about, fearful about, or greedy about. And because people covet, cutting, finding shortcuts to things that take diligence and time and patience, which, I mean, day trading, the amount of patience that it takes. It's not like you just jump in for the kill and you're always getting more. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of self-determination and character challenging stuff. Truly it does. 4 4 3 4 5 2 3 4 3 2 1 5 2 1 4. There's a weak spot there now. 7 is a good sign. A little bit too weak around here. This is a definite, very quick, immediate shift. People watched what happened with Bitcoin and got a little scared. The bots adjusted towards that as well. So I'm going to let our group know that we're doing this thing. Okay, so 202 is good. All right, and there's the spike showing a sign that Bitcoin could go up. Usually it continues the down pattern anyway, but there's the spike. It went exactly to the top of the average being measured. You know, we see it in the Bollinger Bands. Kind of curious whether you actually would see that in the MA. Nope, just the middle. Gotcha. It's like if we took out the Bollinger. What about the EMA? Just barely different. You can see people, you know, trade on those indicators very reliably. So there's the Bollinger again, and you can see it's measuring something that I think is valuable information that you're not quite seeing from the others. So, not to say there's not different ways to find that too. Okay? So if you happen by, please say hi. Ah, Mr. Rhymey Man, Rhymey McRhymerson. Sitting on the dock of a token. Might go in. Nope, I'm not joking. 235, 236, 237, 238. Curiously watching. Okay. Interesting stuff. There's like a negative correlation there in the 247 that it just did there. So hello, if anybody's there, please feel free to say hi in the chat. I am here and I will respond to you live. If you have any questions about any coins that you'd like analysis on, I'm here. Feel free to ask. You can do this, yes? Yes. Alright, so what I'm watching is to see how it recalibrates itself. Would I put these positions in? Yes, that's why I did. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'll keep them there if it doesn't go in the direction that I think it should. So fuel is sitting at 242. We'd like to see it be able to go up 8 points. It was at 246 before Bitcoin did its current ting. So I'm not sure how it's going to snap back in, but that's what we're watching for. TNT went from 413 to 409. And IOST went from 205 to 201. And is now coming back to 202. BTC is just, it kind of looks like it's just doing its own, little bit of its own pattern. It's kind of in sync, kind of out of sync with Bitcoin, not really following a strong trail there. While Raven, it was already on an upswing when Bitcoin did its thing, so it's still continuing up, just like Doc just went up. So what is up, Doc? You're kind of interesting. Maybe just low enough in position size to be able to do something. Okay, so we're going to watch Doc and Raven right now, is what we're doing. Raven, much trickier because it's already at a high point, and there's always that risk if it falls off the cliff. This is where it could easily come down to in the short term. On the optimistic side of things, we have that position we're waiting on that is getting closer. So, you know, I guess fewer than 60 points would get us in that range. And right now we have new ones in this range that we'd like to see clear, and it's starting to look like it might head there. Man, it's exciting time. Exciting time. How I wish you were here. So looking forward to the mass onslaught of really cool people to help with trading stuff. So, what's up with Archangel Alts? Archangel Alts is here to give you wings, to provide a lift to your crypto wallets, to help you with the successful trading mindset, so to speak. And we hope to be thought leaders in the crypto revolution. and using lofty words like such and so forth. We have created a hashtag, Crypto Louder Megaphone. We have a message to get out, and we want to get it out, and you are the ones that can help us to get it out there. It's true. So the whole thing about crypto for now, for this week, for this month, for this year, is mass adoption. And we all agree that we need to see growth in the sector. What I don't agree with is that by any means possible is a good thing. Absolutely not, because there's something unique in our lifetimes that'll never happen again. It'll never happen to most generations again, where there is something that actually really and truly could, in a healthy way, help to close in on the equity gap. Instead of having governments intrude to try to fix problems that they end up really just being a power play for their own control, it's possible that we the people, and not just the U.S., we the people of India and of China and South Korea, anyway, and apparently Malta, great business sector apparently, the people of Cyprus, the people of Venezuela, could be a part of their own solutions, despite the largely socialist mindset that has held them down for a while. They have the ability to take the marketplace into their own hands, to, at a huge cost and at huge risk, to be able to invest in things like Bitcoin or Dash, and to be able to buy, sell, and trade directly without the oppressive government intervention. Now, that is a great oversimplification of the way it works in real life, of course. But, we look at things like the phone carriers, the internet access, and companies like, all the characters, the global stuff, 4G, 5G. They gather information, share information, and that makes your information susceptible to, peaking governments as well. So Coinbase is having, some trouble with there being a movement against their data collection. Delete Coinbase. Okay, well, you understand mass adoption means people having an easy time buying their first Bitcoins. The next thing, huge thing, being backed, and Starbucks, Microsoft, BCG, all of these together, along with the ICE and the New York Stock Exchange, the ETF thing, mass adoption. Well, what if mass adoption means that the freedom to trade 24/7 goes away? What if mass adoption means that amazing companies like Binance start to struggle? What if mass adoption means that you're, buying sort of a watered down, dumbed down, more regulated version of Bitcoin because it's safe and it's dependable, and if you lose your keys, you're okay, and there's, insurance backing these different things. I thought decentralized came with its own risks. I thought that decentralized meant that we're charting a new course and trying to change the internet into something more fair, and less government, smaller government, less power brokers, less institutions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We need more thinkers in this sector. And you know what? I'm just realizing that this is not named for the right time. So I'm going to do the smart thing here, fellas. I'm actually going to cut this live stream short, and I'm going to come back in trading with the proper time slot, because I don't want to forget and leave this with the wrong time code on it. So for now, Archangel Alt's out, and I'll be back soon.